Yo, what's good, YouTube? ZAMCRO here, aka Scoot, back with the Ninamori Nation Draft League, and we have our Season 4, Week number 3 match, and we're taking on Corey, aka Snorlax's, coach of the San Diego Snorlax. So my man's got a terrifying squad, as you can see on screen: Ash Greninja, Celesteela, Megaladius, Mamoswine, Florges, Serena, Raichu, Rapidash, Conkeldurr, Muck, and the Munchlax. So the last two are a little bit more filler picks. Muck especially, Munchlax can actually have very viable strats and sets and things like that. So yeah, Ash Greninja is a huge threat, very potent offensively. It's got really nice speed with a modest nature. It can outpace the entirety of my squad, bar choice scarf users, which is just fantastic. So choice specs, modest, Greninja looking very scary. Celesteela, a huge nuisance for Mega Metagross, Landers Incarnate, and things like Mudsdale, Hydreigon. Just have a hard time breaking it. It can be, it doesn't have access to Z-moves, which is okay for me, I suppose. But ultimately, Celesteela is still an issue, and I'm not bringing Decidueye, so he can throw free lead seeds off pretty much. Thankfully, I do have some ways to fight that, combat that pretty well. We'll talk about it in a second, though. Megaladius, huge threat. It's very bulky, but has fantastic offensive capabilities. Has the ability to Dragon Dance and Calm Mind and be a huge threat. But I have a pretty solid check to that as well. Mamoswine, another huge offensive presence like Greninja, but more so in the breaking capabilities instead of like cleanup crew like Greninja would serve. Greninja could also serve as a special breaker though. Mamoswine serves as a physical breaker with Earthquake and Icicle Crash. Very nice and spammable attacks. It gets priority Ice Shard, which is really nice. Florges is a huge support mon in this matchup. Nice fairy typing. Could be a really solid Hydreigon check as well as a Landers Incarnate. Not necessarily a check or a counter, but can take a hit, maybe two, depending. Serena could be a nice coon check as well. Switches in on Mudsdale pretty well. Also, can take hits for things like Raichu and Rapidash, which don't appreciate Earthquake. And speaking of Raichu and Rapidash, I don't necessarily think they have a fantastic matchup, but my man Corey got a Week 1 Rapidash sweep, I believe. A nice comeback there. So it's not out of the question for him to bring it, although I don't see either Raichu or Rapidash coming. I do think he'll bring his first 4 mons for sure. I think Florges is an iffy between Florges and Serena as his 5th mon, and I do believe the 6th mon will 100% be a Conkeldurr because it serves as a great breaker in this match, especially with Flame Body and Guts, or excuse me, Flame Orb and Guts, being able to take Scalds from Coon and throw off very powerful Drain Punches, can pack the Poison Jab for Clefable, knock off for a Psychic type Oricorio. It could also pack Ice Punch to just get general damage on things like Landers Incarnate, Oricorio, Decidueye, so on and so forth, instead of packing something like Knockoff. But yeah, huge threats there, offensively and defensively. My opponent's got a lot going on there. But we have a pretty nice squad ourselves. Mega Metagross, Hydreigon, Clefable, Suicune, Landers Incarnate, Licky, Decidueye, Oricorio, all forms, and Mudsdale. And our Z-move users are Landers Incarnate and Oricorio. Our opponent's Z-move users being Ash Greninja, Raichu, and the Rapidash. So very potent team on, or matchup, I should say. I think if one player makes any mistakes, the game significantly shifts in their favor or in the other player's favor. So yeah, speaking of my team, we've decided to bring a Rock Polish Mega Metagross. Rock Polish so that we can outpace Greninja, we can outpace Megaladius 100% in those speed ties. Choice Scarf Mamoswine could be a bring, so I wanted to be able to make sure that my Metagross could outpace that as well. And then I have Meteor Mash, which is breaks through Florges, breaks through Mamoswine, breaks through the majority of his squad. What resist Meteor Mash takes outside of Greninja and Celesteela takes neutral or super effective damage from Zen Headbutt, and for Greninja and Celesteela, which resists my dual stab, I do have the Thunder Punch, which is really nice for us. So we are rocking enough speed to speed tie with the Mega Latias if it comes down to it, but Rock Punch is going to be key. And then we have 96 attack EVs, allows us to knock out Greninja with Thunder Punch after Stealth Rocks, allows us to 2-hit KO a max HP Celesteela, allows us to blow through and 2-hit KO Mega Latias with Meteor Mash. Mamoswine is one-shotted, Florges is one-shotted, Bulky Serena is two-shotted by Meteor Mash. Raichu is one shot after Stealth Rocks with Zen Headbutt. So just a really, really nice one overall. And Conkeldurr needs to have a lot of bulk investment to survive a Zen Headbutt. So after 2 rounds of Stealth Rock, it always drops to Zen Headbutt. If it has any kind of burn damage or comes in on a Suicune Scald or Hydreigon Dark Pulse or anything like that, it's in range of Zen Headbutt right then and there. So it's going to be fantastic. And then Muck and Munchlax don't really do much back to Mega Metagross, and I can just fire off Zen Headbutts or Meteor Mashes and potentially get a boost or something and break through something like a bulky Curse Munchlax. But speaking of Curse Munchlax, I do have a very, very bulky Hydreigon here with Taunt and Roost, so we can taunt that, and I do have Roar on Suicune, so I can taunt a Munchlax and then roar him out, which would be fantastic. But back to Hydreigon here, switches in on Greninja decently, can take hits from Serena, Raichu, Rapidash, Mug, Munchlax, takes hits from Celesteela really well, not 2-hit KO'd by a defensive Heavy Slam or Air Slash or Acrobatics or anything like that. Can roost up on it, can taunt him, can continuously Dark Pulse, taunt, roost, and eventually 1v1 things like Celesteela and Serena, so on and so forth. Put them in a position where they're not doing much back to me. Also have the Draco Meteor there. I can drop a Draco versus things like Ashgren or like a Mega Latias that has been crippled in terms of maybe it dropped a Draco itself and now it can no longer knock me out with Draco, so I can knock it out with Draco. Otherwise, I don't really want to bring in my Hydreigon versus the Mega Latias unless I know he's going for a Psychic type move. I can go hard into my Hydreigon and then double out on the Dragon type move to my Clefable or something like that. Speaking of Clefable, we have a Stealth Rock variant here. Gives us a Stealth Rock, is pretty much guaranteed. Could be a lead here. It's actually a nice lead, but depending on what he leads with or what he brings, I may bring something different. If his only Stealth Rocker ends up being Mamoswine, which is his only Stealth Rocker on his squad, then I'll lead with Suicune. But if he doesn't bring Mamoswine, then I'll lead with Clefable. But yeah, I have Moonblast here and Flamethrower for the Celesteela, and then our last move being Moonlight. We have enough defense and HP investment to take hits from Greninja and Mamoswine, as long as they're not Bandit or Choice specs, which is really nice. Speaking of Mamoswine and Greninja, like I said, being the 2 most potent offensive threats, Suicune takes them both on pretty well also, and allows Clefable to take on Mega Latias a little bit better with the Unaware ability. Calm Mind, Dragoness don't really matter versus me. So Suicune is a Protect variant with Scald, Toxic, and Roar. Pretty much expecting things like Serena, Florges, Mega Latias to switch in on Suicune. I can Toxic those things upon switch in. And Greninja, I can Toxic it, click Protect, Roar, Protect, make it take rocks damage over and over and over, Toxic damage build up, take a Scald or 2, and roar it out, so on and so forth, things like that. If it is Timid specs Greninja, then it cannot 2-hit KO me with Dark Pulse, but if it's modest specs, then it has a chance to 2-hit KO me. But with Leftovers and Protect, I could potentially be out of range of that and get a little bit more chip damage before going down. So Suicune is a huge nuisance to my opponent in terms of actually getting really, really solid damage on that. Next up, we have a Life Orb Landers Incarnate with enough speed to outpace what are my speed tiers here? So for some reason, I suppose I thought my opponent had the Mimikyu. Does my opponent have Mimikyu? Who has Mimikyu? Who has Mimikyu? Does anybody have Mimikyu? Really, Mimikyu went undrafted. And I EV'd my Hydreigon and Landers Incarnate to outpace that. Let me just double check that Mimikyu went undrafted. Mimikyu. No, Mimikyu was drafted. But by who? Who drafted Mimikyu? And why did I set my EVs on Hydreigon and Landers Incarnate to outpace Mimikyu? And then nobody had Mimikyu. It's very strange. Very, very strange, and I can't find who had Mimikyu on the... Anyways, so I sped crept with Hydreigon and Landers Incarnate to speed creep Mimikyu, but it looks like I only needed to speed creep the Mamoswine. So that's really, really unfortunate for me. Anyways, for Landers Incarnate, we have Life Orb, Sheer Force, boosting our Earth Power and Sludge Wave to ridiculous heights with a base 115 special attack and Timid Nature. We're rocking Gravity, so that Celesteela and Megaladius are both hit by Earth Power. Celesteela super effectively, which is really nice. Rock Polish gives us the speed we need to outpace things like the Laddie, the Rapidash, Raichu, things like that, all taught on my Celesteela, and even Greninja, if it doesn't have Water Shuriken. And the thing about Water Shuriken is if my opponent locks himself into Water Shuriken, I have Suicune and Hydreigon both, which resist it pretty well and take basically nothing. So that's really nice. Landers are really nice cleanup mon, can break through Celesteela or lure Celesteela in so that Mega Metagross has an easier time. And last but not least, we have Oricorio. So speaking of Celesteela, we have a defensive check here. Really, really nice. Have enough speed to outpace Mamoswine with enough HP investment and defense investment to take on Celesteela. Conquered her decently well, not super well by Conk, but decently. And I can avoid being knocked out after Stealth Rocks by a Adamant Life Orb Ice Shard from Mamoswine. So we've got Revelation Dance, which blows through Greninja, Celesteela, and does neutral damage to things like Florges, Raichu, Rapidash, Comforter, and the rest of his squad. We also have Taunt and Roost on here, which is really nice for Florges. Can potentially taunt Mamoswine, prevent Stealth Rocks, and things like that, prevent Munchlax from being a huge issue. And we've got Hurricane and Revelation Dance as our two attacking moves with the Flying EMZ and the Dancer ability, of course. But yeah, it's going to be the squad, and now we're going to go ahead and hop into the replay and see how things go. Alright, so here we are with the replay. My opponent has chosen to bring the Celesteela, the Megaladius, Mamoswine, Conqueror, Florges, and Greninja. So basically the exact squad we thought, except we didn't know if Florges or Serena would come. But basically the other five were pretty much guaranteed. And Florges made just a little bit more sense than Serena, as bringing Serena to just defensively check Suicune or Mudsdale was a lot less optimal than bringing Florges as a wish support mon for things like Celesteela, Conqueror, Greninja, and Megaladius, respectively. So, that being said, Clefable was our designated lead if he did not bring Mamoswine, but he does bring the Mamoswine, so we're actually going to be leading off with our Suicune instead. We can throw off a nice Toxic, no matter what he leads with. I don't expect him to switch into Celesteela and risk a potential Scald Burn. So let's go ahead and hop into the replay and see what goes on here. As we're going to lead off with Suicune, and our opponent leads off with Greninja, so we're going to throw off a Toxic here immediately. As he goes for Dark Pulse. And that Dark Pulse revealed that he was not Choice Specs, and he was not itemless, obviously. So he could be, he's got an item boosting move, but it's not Choice Specs or Life Orb. So that reveals to me that he's probably Dread Plate or Wise Glasses, one of the two. So I know he can switch up his moves at this point. Or to me, that's what it seems. Apparently, my opponent was Specs, but that damage roll reveals that. To me, he's not, and in the game, that's what I'm thinking. So there's no way he's Choice Specs at this point. He has to be Dread Plate with the ability to swap up his moves. Expecting him to switch into the Mega Latias here, I go for the Toxic once again, but he does go into the Splorges. It's going to give me my Mega Metagross, but he is able to Heal Bell, and he does remove poisoning from himself on Florges, and as well as Greninja, his teammate, which I poisoned on turn 1. So now I have Mega Metagross in. I'm going to throw off a Meteor Mash. I thought about clicking Thunder Punch here, but in case he went into Mamoswine predicting me to predict his Celesteela, I did not want to lose a turn. So here I go into my Oricorio. It's my designated check to Celesteela, and I fire off a Taunt. And the reason being was I didn't want him going into Florges and throwing off a Wish and catching it with his Celesteela as I go out into my Metagross. And it also prevented him, if I went for Revelation Dance and he predicted that and he went into Mamoswine, he would obviously be immune to my electric type attack, but it would give me, Taunt prevents him from getting up rocks versus me. So I prevented rocks in that sense. So now I'm going to be able to switch out, or predicting him to predict my Suicune to come in. There's no way I stay in here and take an Icicle Crash when I have a Suicune out there. So I'm just going to throw off my Supersonic Sky Strike. It has a chance to knock out if he has no bulk investment, but I miss out on the knockout, but my opponent over predicts going for the Earthquake, and we are able to make the play there. Unfortunately, I did not make the play here to Roost. Had I roosted on his Ice Shard as he fainted, that would have been fantastic, but I don't do that. He faints to his Life Orb, goes into his Mega Latias immediately, and sets up a Calm Mind. You can't see the Sprite there. Let me take that back for a turn, so you can see that. So he's going to Mega Evolve here, and yeah, he just calms minds. I don't know why the Sprite isn't there, but we're able to get this nice Moonblast damage off. We are unaware of his special attack boost and his special defense boost, and we're able to get our rocks up as well. At the same time, 2-hit KO on this thing. Unfortunately, I did leave myself really low. I should have probably recovered up a couple turns first. But yeah, he goes into a Celesteela instead of his Greninja, so that still gives us a little bit more layaway still. So that's okay for us. And he reveals Hidden Power Ice, which was presumably for the Landers Incarnate. And as you can see, the Heavy Slam with Leftovers recovery is going to never 2-hit KO. I'll be able to roost up before he Heavy Slam and knocks me out, unless he gets a crit back-to-back or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to be able to roost these off pretty comfortably. And then at this point, as you can see, he does 47%. I get a little bit of leftovers back, and now I'm going to make the play into my Mega Metagross, expecting him to go for the Heavy Slam again. And then as I brought in my Mega Metagross, I would expect him to go for the Earthquake the following turn, and I was going to double into my Oricorio so that I could finally roost up. But he does go into his Florges here. I'm probably expecting me to roost once more with my Hydreigon, which is another fine play, and another reason why I made the Metagross play. And now I have the opportunity to Rock Polish here, expecting his Celesteela to come in. So I'm going to go for the Rock Polish here. He can't do much to me with Florges, that's for sure. And he's going to throw off a Wish. So now I know he's going out to his Celesteela here on the Meteor Mash. I cannot allow Celesteela to catch this Wish. So I'm just going to throw off a Thunder Punch. It also covers him staying in, because if he stays in, he doesn't do much back to me anyway. And we are able to take out the Celesteela there with the Thunder Punch. Now we're going to go for the Zen Headbutt as he brings in the Comforter. Unfortunately, we miss, and he's able to Drain Punch, get a little bit of health back. Was not burned though. So at the time, he was not. If he was burned when he threw that damage off, he would have been able to do about half to me. But he was not burned when he first went for the attack. But he actually swaps out to his Greninja here on my Zen Headbutt, and that's actually going to be a choke. His play was to stay in and hope that he survives the Zen Headbutt and gets guts damage Drain Punch versus me, or like a knockoff or some kind of crit or something like that. Otherwise, he loses definitely at this point. So I just go for the Thunder Punch versus Greninja with my Rock Polish. I'm 100% faster, and Water Shuriken was not going to knock me out. He did not get his Ash form. I go for the Zen Headbutt here, and I get a flinch. So that flinch is very unfortunate in terms of my opponent not being able to get damage off. But he wasn't going to get enough damage back to survive the following Zen headbutt, or he wasn't going to get enough HP back to follow or survive the following Zen headbutt. And had I landed the first Zen headbutt, then I would not, or the flinch wouldn't have even been a chance to happen there. It would have been a clear 2-hit KO. But anyways, yeah, Conkeldurr does go down. He brings in his Florges, and as long as I land one of my Meteor matches here, I'll be okay. And I do land Meteor Mash, picking up a 6-0 victory here in week 3 versus my buddy Snorlax's. I don't think he played bad, and I don't think the match or the 6-0 score shows how close the match actually was. Greninja and Mamoswine was huge issues for us. We have a 25% Oricorio, a less than 50% Clefable, 50% Hydreigon, Suicune's at roughly 70% or so. So all of our defensive backbones have taken a lot of damage. Mega Metagross here, roughly at half, a little bit over half. And Landorus Incarnate, the only Pokemon not taking damage in this match. So yeah, definitely not as lopsided as it seems. But yeah, Mega Metagross coming through there in the end. Able to get that rock polish up on the floor, just predicting the Celesteela to come in and grab the Wish. We blow it away with the Thunder Punch and keep that thing from being a nuisance. A really good game overall, and glad it wasn't RNG field or anything like that, outside of the missed the Zen Headbutt and the Zen Headbutt flinch later on, but they pretty much equaled themselves out. But yeah, that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.